Hello, my name is John Hernandez. I am the co-founder and programmer for the Latin American Film Festival of Dallas. You have just seen the film Olivia in the Clouds, and we are here with the director, Tomas Pichardo Espaillat. Hi, Tomas. How are you today?
I'm doing fine, thank you. And also thank you for the invitation.
No, thank you very much for allowing us to show your film. Um, I guess the very first question I want to start off with is, I guess, very broad.
Yeah.
Um, but it's basically this is the first animated film that we're showing at our festival. We've had the festival for 3 years, and it's not often that you see a Latin American animated feature.
Yeah.
Period. Right.
Mhm.
I think I read somewhere that you said that this was the third animated feature in all in the Dominican Republic. Period.
And countries, yeah, that's
Uh,
true.
so I guess the very first question to go back to the very beginning is how what is your path to becoming you an animator basically in the Dominican Republic?
Well, I always wanted to be an animator. I started animating at, let's say, 15 years old, but you will not consider that animation as what it is now that I do. It was mostly experiments and just exploring with textures and things like that. And after I graduated from high school, there were no animation school, there were not film school in my country, so I had to study another thing, and I was studying fine arts. And while I was doing that, I was also taking an approach of like a do-it-yourself approach to animation to learn through making. So every freelance work that I got, it, for me, was an opportunity to learn a little bit about animation, to put myself in that position of maybe with this project I will try, let's say, cut out animation or stop motion or something. And I was learning through that process of making freelance work, but also learning by myself. And Olivia and the Clouds, was a film that took 10 years to make, and it's because of that, because our industry is very small, and it was very difficult at the beginning to make this kind of project. My producer are not from animation; they're from fiction and documentary. So it was a process of learning how to make this kind of film. And also what I was learning, I was also teaching that to students. And then for my students became part of the team, of the crew of making the film. And I think the community was growing as we were making the film in that sense.
The movie has, I would say, a lot of striking images, but also what's interesting is I would say like kind of you were talking about how there's just a whole mixture of different techniques as
Mhm.
well. Was there like one specific image or technique that you started with that kind of like was like this is the one thing I want to try out on this project?
Uh, I don't think so. Because the way I learned how to make animation was experimenting with different techniques throughout different projects. So I was used to that idea of mixing techniques or mixing elements. Uh, what we did, why we did it in that sense of multiple technique and multiple style in this film, is because going back to the students, you none of them have the same background of animation or designing, or the way they design their character, or the way they design or use a specific technique. So making a cohesive film, making a cohesive using a cohesive style throughout the film was very difficult for us, or maybe was not possible with what we had. So we decided, what if instead everyone that coming to the film bring their own way of making films, their own way of making their own animations. And I played the role of sculpting, in that sense of combining all these elements within the film. But to have like an original style, it was never within the film idea. It was just see what everyone was bringing, see what I could also bring to the project, and then do a combination of all these elements.
So you saying that you're kind of relying also like on the skills and the techniques of the students that you brought onto the project. What I guess something that when you're dealing with like a traditional like I
Mhm.
guess just live action fictional film is that you're dealing with a very straightforward idea of representation, right? you
Yeah.
have reality in front of you, and you put a camera in there and you compose the shot or whatever. With animation, I was wondering, okay, so you have kind of an idea perhaps or an image, but how do you decide what's the best technique, or like which student do I bring in to represent that idea? Is it stop motion? Is it claymation? Like what's the thought process there?
It's a process of trial and error, and some of the scenes that we have that had a specific style, when we were seeing the entire film throughout with that scenes with that style, we realized, oh, this is not working. We have to redo it, and we have to start again with another technique or another style. But there were moments that were surprised in the sense of, I was asking specific people, because working with my students that now they were former students, I I got this thing that I knew what they were capable of, like, because I taught them, and I saw them their process during class, so I knew what students were more in line with narrative structure. That for them, I have to give them a specific storyline, like a storyboard and the script. And there were other students that are that can play better with abstract ideas or like abstract images. So in those cases, in those kind of crew members, I just say one specific word or just say a specific idea, and then I was receiving the surprise of, oh, this works really well here. Maybe I could add this here, or I could add this other element here. But also, I was going through the script through feelings. Like, I want these scenes to feel in a certain way, and then maybe I was remembering a homework or a project one of the students make while they were on class that had that same feeling, and like, oh, this is something that connects with this specific scene. So I bring this person to the project, and maybe this person can incorporate that way of creating, and then maybe that feeling will match again, and then we'll have that scene in the film.
Um, I think one of the striking things also about the film is that it it features not just this kind of wide range of techniques as well, but also I think it's interesting that it also has like all these different characters and kind of how it passes from one to the other. What was the idea behind the narrative structure of the film?
What I was trying to do was not in the sense of like a cohesive, like a how do you say, like a formal narrative, like a straightforward narrative, but I was playing more with memories, with the concept of memories and the concept of point of view. Let's say a relationship, and there's two people in the relationship, and each of these characters see that same moment through their own lenses, through their own point of view, and maybe the way one character sees it is very different from the way the other one sees it. So I was playing with that, with how I will tell this story about this character, these multiple star characters, through the concept of points of view. Like, this is a moment through the eyes of Ramon. This is a moment through the eyes of Olivia, and I was constructing the films in that sense, and also playing with how we remember stuff, how we remember certain memories or certain moments in our lives.
I think most people, um, sorry to move something a little different. I think most people when they think of animation these days,
Mhm.
they think of like like the computer generated like style, like a Pixar, for example, or maybe like you see my shirt is an anime shirt. Uh, but what would you say would define, like, I guess Olivia in the Clouds as a kind of like Dominican Republic, like an animation from the Dominican Republic? What do you see in there that I think speaks to something that is uniquely from the Dominican Republic?
Mm, I would say I'm bringing in the film a lot of Dominican culture, in the sense of the chaotic nature of our country, of my country, in the sense of if you go to the street, you see houses on top of houses, and you see contrasting color. One building is very different to the other, and also the noise, the way the people talk, and a lot of crowd and a lot of things happening at the same time. It's very chaotic in that sense, and I think that translates into the visuals in the sense of it feels more of a collage of elements of very a variety of different elements, and I see that if I go outside, if I go through to the streets, I see that very difference of elements that maybe they doesn't make sense in a specific place, but it's how we live here in Santo Domingo and the Dominican Republic. So I could I could see that translation visually in the sense, and also with the sound design, we were playing with that, with a lot of texture, a lot of things going on at the same time, because that's how it feels here in Santo Domingo. It's not quiet at all. It's always something, a lot of sounds, a lot of music, a lot of everything happening at the same time.
You said the film took 10 years to make, and there weren't a lot of animators back then. You had to recruit your own students. I guess where would you say that it's like? I guess the Dominican animation industry stands now.
Mm, I think it's growing. I think because when we started making the film, there were not even programs for animation or funds or grants for animations, and you could count the professional animators, maybe one or two hands. Like these are the animators that are doing maybe short films or something. And then at the same time, Olivia and the Clouds was released in 2024, and at the same time, there was another feature, the second one that was released in 2024. So we saw these two features happening at the same time, and one is 3D, and Olivia and the Clouds is a collage of 2D techniques and more crafty techniques, and that's within the film, but also now you see a lot of the universities that are having animation programs within their school, and like a curriculum of animation, and also you see the community is growing, and a lot of people are sharing the short films, and also the national funds now incorporated a section for animated short films. So I could see it in multiple places going on at the same time, and I feel that it's still growing. It's still not there in the sense of we're known as an animation nation. We're not there yet, but there are a lot of people that are doing their own projects and doing their own short films, and they're evolving one short film to the next one. So I think at some point we'll be there in the sense of, oh, in the Dominican Republic they're producing great animation.
The film premiered almost like a year and a half ago, maybe. I would say there in a lot of Latin American nations, there's for countries that don't have like a robust film industry with like 100 releases every year or something like that. There's something novel about seeing your own country in your cinema, right? And we have shown these last 2 years movies from the Dominican Republic. We showed
Mhm.
Ramona and Bionicos Pachata,
Yeah.
and so I wondered what it was like. What's the film has I think has shown at the Dominican Republic. What has been the reaction to seeing the Dominican Republic depicted through animation?
I like to travel with the film. I go to different festivals, and I've seen reactions in different places within the Dominican Republic, but also outside, and let's say Europe, other countries in Latin America and Asia, and it's very different one from the other. And if you show this film in the in a Latin American country, they connect right away. They because it's very familiar. Elements that are happening there happens in many Latin American countries, so they laugh throughout the film, and they understand the characters better. Not only what they're saying or what the moment represents, but oh, I know a person like this, and I connect to a person like this. And then I get to show the film in Japan, and there's dead silence, and I don't know what's going on within the audience, and are they getting it or not? But then you see the reactions after. And also in the Dominican Republic is when we show it, when we did the Dominican premiere, felt like a celebration. It felt because a lot of people and the entire animation community was there. A lot of people put so much of themselves into the film, so we celebrated that, and it felt like a really cheerful moment in that sense.
Well, Tomas, I don't want to take up much more of your time. I really want to thank you for your time and for letting us show your film. And I thank you for being with us today.
Thank you so much.